Factor follow-up segment tonight. Last weekend, there was chaos in Oakland, California. About 400 Occupy Wall Street protesters were arrested trying to destroy city property. Tear gas was used to prevent that, and a number of people were injured in the melee. Now, the occupiers say they will hold another rally tomorrow in Oakland called F the Police, and F does not stand for Frank. Joining us now from San Francisco, Joe Alioto Vernice, a former member of the police commission in that city. Here in the studio, Rich Benjamin, senior fellow at Demos, a liberal group. All right, Joe, we'll start with you. You're tied into the police and sympathetic to them, but I think this is a provocation by the Occupy people tomorrow in Oakland, and it's likely to wind up just the way it wound up last weekend. Am I wrong?
I think you're actually right. Yeah, not only am I tied in with the police, but I'm also a civil rights attorney here in San Francisco. This is a self-proclaimed military group that is bent on criminal activity. The Occupy movement was never meant to have this particular purpose. In fact, the founders of that group now call themselves 99% because they've abandoned this, this type of activity. Police officers are trained to use a use of force continuum, and when you break the law, they're going to use the force that is appropriate. These officers are specifically trained for First Amendment activity. All of this nonsense about, not hearing warnings, all of this stuff is on videotape. The police officers that are trained to do this, they have it on videotape, and if it ever comes to some sort of disciplinary action, which should be investigated, absolutely, but if it ever gets there, they're going to find that most of these officers have acted appropriately.
As a civil rights attorney, you actually represent people whose civil rights have been violated, correct?
That's right.
All right, so you're not some right-wing guy who's going, let the police run ramshot over them. What do you think, though, is the goal of the occupiers in Oakland? It can't be to get the sympathy of the American people. Can't be that. What is the goal there? What are they trying to accomplish?
My take is that this is a faction of the Oscar Grant group that's extremely upset, and this is their way. They're hijacking the name of the Occupy group to get some attention.
All right, so it's a fringe group, not the mainstream occupiers. All right, Rich, what do you say?
That's absolutely right.
I would agree that this is a fringe group of the mainstream Occupy Wall Street movement, but we cannot let their activities detract from what Occupy Wall Street is saying.
Come on, perception is reality, and a perception is that Occupy Wall Street are a bunch of kooks, and they want to tear down the society. That's a perception.
No, I don't think that's the perception.
Well, the polls say it is. 62% are now against the Occupy movement. When it started, most Americans were for it.
Well, it's not a popularity contest, honestly.
Okay, but it is a perception contest.
No, it's not.
No, what is it then?
This is a serious movement that is challenging our democracy. People are frustrated, Bill. When you look at the Republican primary, the way that billionaires have taken over the super PACs, people feel this is their only way to have their voices heard.
But if most Americans don't respect the group any longer, which the polls say is true, because it's been hijacked by your own admission, by the kook fringe, what good is the group anymore? It's lost credibility.
It has not lost credibility. Now, this may give the movement, quote-unquote, bad PR. But the broader
police,
movement,
I think it might.
Yeah, but the broader movement, which, by the way,
it's tied in.
It stretches beyond Oakland. It stretches all across the country. They have to keep their eyes on the prize. When you challenge power in this country,
yeah, it's hard.
You may get a billy club to your face. It gets ugly. And so,
listen, I've challenged for 15 years power in this country, and nobody hit me with a billy club. They hit me with everything else, so I know what it is. What do you look? Here's the deal. Rich says that this isn't going to harm the overall Occupy movement, which I think you were sympathetic to, Joe, in the beginning. I say it is. I say it's all over for the occupiers because of this kind of stuff. It absolutely is.
And in fact, the San Francisco faction of Occupied they've committed to be nonviolent. They are totally against what is going on here. And you know what? This is just a big, dangerous distraction. It really is. Look at all those officers that you have on that screen there, Bill. Those are officers that aren't responding to shootings in the street. And Rich, I dare say that if your son was lying in the street, the cops took an extra 10 minutes to show up because they were babysitting criminals who are not, this is specifically targeting police. These guys are bent on criminal activity. This is not First Amendment activity.
All right, let's let Rich have the last word, 30 seconds.
You'd be sitting where I am if the cops didn't arrive on time.
Go.
Well, I don't know what the alternative is. When you have a vibrant, messy democracy like ours, it costs. Nobody said democracy is cheap, and so that's the price that they're going to pay.
I don't know if these people want democracy, Rich. Don't look like they want it to me. But anyway, we appreciate you guys going in. Very lively debate. Plenty more ahead as the Factor moves along this evening.